I say you already know who it is, man. It's Chris Jackson, Prince Up Top, last real nigga alive. Hey, look, this is a new segment that we're starting. It's called Where Are They Now? Up next, I have somebody that's actually kind of still popular, still doing his thing, still making great waves and making great music. He just fell in a bit of a rough patch, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So today's docket, I have nobody, none other than rap superstar Sergio Kitchens. You may know him as Gunna, but we're gonna rewind the clock a little bit so that way y'all can find out really who Sergio Kitchens, okay? So everybody's mad at this Sergio Kitchens guy, aka Gunna. So we need to try to find out why is everybody so mad? What is it that he possibly did that can make everybody so mad? And today we're gonna answer your questions, folks. I'm gonna start off by playing a small clip so that way we can kind of just get into exactly why people hate Gunna so much.
Murder case. No one wants to go down for it. No one.
Devonnie Benton's younger cousin, Sergio Kitchens, says Benton is on trial for murder simply because his friends turned on him.
Just go to see like you ain't got no real friends out here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I learned from that. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not happy that it happened, but you know what I'm saying? I'm kind of good to see the be on the outside looking in.
Kitchens is now a member of the neighborhood rap group SPC, known as Shady Park Click, like his cousin once was.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause the video there and we're gonna talk about this piece right here, right? So a while back, everybody was giving Gunna flack for talking to a reporter, CNN reporter, not a police, not a detective, a CNN reporter. You feel me? So let's do this. Well before Gunna was who he was actually Sergio Kitchens, all right? He was signed to a rap group called SPC, which is called Shady Park Click. It was him, his cousin, I think his name was Devonnie Benton, okay? And it was Gunna. And it was some other nigga, you know what I'm saying? So long story short, back in May of 2010, uh, Gunna cousin, Devonnie Benton, he got into some street shit, right? They went and slid, they did a robbery. However, one of the people end up killing somebody. It was a woman. You know what I'm saying? It was a woman. They end up killing her, right? So in the midst of him killing her, they all got caught. They all went to jail, right? So when they got caught, Gunna's cousin was the only nigga that stayed solid. He didn't tell, he didn't say a word, he didn't mention anything, he didn't say anything at all, right? But the other two people who he went and did this robbery with, they actually folded. They told immediately. In fact, they devised a plan to pin everything on Gunna's cousin. So while he's sitting in prison, thinking that everybody's staying solid and nobody said anything at all, they actually flipped and pinned everything on Gunna's cousin. Which a few months later, it happened like it is, and everybody called Gunna a rat, not for speaking with the actual detectives or police. He just spoke to the reporter from CNN. Is that snitching? Dry snitching, maybe. I don't know. He didn't mention any names. He didn't say anything. He just pretty much expressed the way he was feeling, right? But when that reporter came to Atlanta, he wasn't specifically looking for Gunna. He was just talking about all of the street shit that was happening at that time because there was a lot of senseless killings that was happening in the area. They just brought up Gunna's case, and just so happened Sergio Kitchens was available for the interview. Simple. He didn't seek out anybody to talk about this. This was something that was already happening in the midst of it. He was just expressing himself and, how he felt about his cousin. Now, he was called a rat for that, for speaking to a reporter, not police, just a reporter. But that didn't stop him from grinding, right? Because after that, he went on to drop countless of music, mixtapes, projects. I mean, this motherfucker got hot. He got really hot. He used that situation for motivation because the SPC clique was no longer. So it was just Gunna by himself trying to make a name for him. He ended up doing a mixtape series called Drip or Drown, where the single Drip or Drown actually was one of his biggest records to date, and that put him in a position to really take off and his music career start soaring. Okay, so he's doing his thing. He is really killing this shit. Drip or Drown came out. Everybody know that song. Shit was fucking super super dope, right? So when he does this, it catches the likes of Young Thug, right? Who then signs him to YSL, which was great because now he's really making a name for himself, signed with one of the biggest labels in Atlanta. Like he's really doing his thing. Now, in the beginning, everything was great. They dropping hits together. They making joint projects together. They getting awards together. Like they really becoming like superstars, if you will. While they are going through these great processes, you know what I'm saying? They're becoming who they are. Everybody's knowing them in Atlanta. You know, they're really starting to become like superstars. So while things are going great, his CEO is still in the streets. His CEO is Young Thug, if you didn't know. But Young Thug is still in the streets. He's running one of the biggest gang operations where they have drugs, murder for hire, wire fraud. I mean, like literally everything under the sun that you can think of. Young Thug was applying that, and he used all of his goons to do that, such as Yak Gotti, Roscoe, Woody. I'm sure y'all have seen these guys on TV and online, and you know they building this criminalistic empire, and they're using YSL as the front. Gunna has no idea that none of this shit is going down. He has no idea, right? He doesn't know any of this shit is going on. He doesn't know, you know, that YSL is this big blood gang and all of this. Like he really don't know. He's just conforming to the label and what's happening. Gunna really is just relishing in the moment. He just got signed. You know, he's becoming a superstar. He's in his own world. So because of his level of success, his head is kind of just like in the clouds. He's not really paying attention to what's going on. However, that would abruptly come to an end as he was riding with his CEO, who is Young Thug. He's riding with his CEO one day, and they was pulled over. And to Gunna's surprise, there was a firearm in the vehicle, right? He didn't know about this. There was also drugs in the vehicle, which Gunna knew everything about the drugs. He even advocates, he says that he uses drugs. So I'm sure he knew the drugs were there. I'm sure he knew the drugs were there. But as far as the gun, no way he knew that those guns were in that car. Now, to make matters worse, his CEO is a convicted felon who shouldn't be around any guns at all or any firearms. So, while in the car, Young Thug tells Gunna, hey, look, we superstars. We going to make bail. We going to be in and out. Don't worry about it. Don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Now, this is easier said than done when Gunna's just looking at his cousin's situation where he said, don't say nothing, and he ended up taking the full rap. So Gunna's still a little uneasy about not saying anything and just, you know, letting it fall where they may be. Now, as easy as this sound, Gunna didn't think it would be that easy. Like I said, his cousin was currently serving a life sentence for saying nothing at all, and he got a murder pinned on him. But Young Thug assured him he would get out because of their star power. And eventually they was right. Young Thug was right. They made bail and they was out, but that wouldn't be the last time that they hear from the police because it was that very same arrest that actually tied Gunna to any criminalistic activity that was going down in the YSL gang. See, it was this charge that connected Gunna to the Rico case. Had he never been arrested with Young Thug that day, he wouldn't be associated with anything criminalistic in the YSL case. But this is where things get a little tricky. See, I'm from the old school, and we live by the old school rules, okay? And in the street code, it says YTC. I'm sorry, TYC. Take your charge. Everybody knows if you're from the street and you get into some shit and you have a gun or drugs in the car and your homeboy is with you, you don't take nobody's charge. Whoever shit that was your shit. You tell the police that was your shit. So that way that doesn't involve you in any type of criminalistic activity at all. But that wasn't done. Young Thug didn't take his charge. In fact, the feds had already been watching them. So that was the charge that they needed in efforts to connect Gunna and the YSL criminalistic game. Now, what's crazy, like I said, that's the only thing that connected Gunna to anything criminal in YSL was that arrest. Speaking of which, Young Thug, he went on to dismiss it like it was just nothing because he's the CEO. So he wasn't worried. But I'm sure Gunna was worried. Now, as time progresses, the feds come in and they get hit with the RICO charge. Once the RICO charge come, Gunna's put in a position that his cousin was put in. He can either not say anything and have the risk of doing life in prison, or he can take a plea deal and come home and get back to the music. Gunna chose to take the plea. In fact, not just Gunna, almost everybody on YSL took a plea. In fact, Young Thug himself took a plea. That's right. Everybody took a plea. But when Gunna took the plea, everybody hated him for it. Everybody hated Gunna for it. Why did they hate Gunna for taking a plea? When Slime Life Shorty took a plea, YSL Mondo took a plea, Woody fucking got a federal snitch bond and he doing whatever he want to. Like all of these rappers that was signed to YSL took a plea with the exclusion of Yak Gotti. And he ended up beating this case. So I'm trying to figure out why all of the rappers in the community are hating Gunna for taking the same plea that other rappers took. And it got to the point where it was so bad that Gunna had to remove his YSL tattoo because he was getting so much flack from it. Now, if you ask me, I don't think Gunna needs Young Thug at all. He got out and he started making amazing music. He's having an amazing run, while Young Thug has got out and has yet to drop a hit. So if you ask me, I think Young Thug needs Gunna a lot more than Gunna needs Young Thug. So what we need to do is we need to figure out why the hip hop community hates Gunna. If you know why, if you have any information that you're privy to, please put it in the comments. But if you ask me, I think it was because the previous case a long time ago, when Sergio Kitchens sat down and spoke with a CNN reporter about the case with his cousin, Devonnie Benton, who was accused of murder for something that he had nothing to do with. He didn't pull the trigger. He wasn't the guy that shot, but he stood on business, stayed solid, and that got him a life sentence. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Please, please share this content. I'm going to be dropping a lot more for you so that way y'all can stay acclimated to what's going on with the superstars in y'all area. Yang, let's go.